Good morning, Internet. Welcome to more Resident Evil, I guess. Or more accurately, Resident Evil 3. I completely forgot what we did last time. I think we saved Fat Man.
Though we did end up finding the corpse of, the first Fat Man.
True, there are probably several, including one running around with a rocket launcher.
Well, I'd say that one is less fat and more just, a brick shithouse.
So... I think we had to use that crank somewhere.
Right,
I think we need a fuse or something like that.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you'd be able to use the crank on a shutter that's supposed to be behind the bar where you first found Brad. And you'll be able to get some grenade rounds from it. And if I remember correctly, because apparently you weren't aware of it, you're supposed to actually grab the compass and put it on that statue where you found the book, so that you'd be able to get a battery, so that you'd be able to use that elevator and go to a different area.
This is actually not where I want to go.
Well, I think at this point, whichever way you go, it's probably going to be jam-packed with zombies.
Speaking of. Let's...
Well, I think if nothing else, it's actually a little bit safer when they're on the stairs, since if it's anything like the previous Resident Evil games, they won't actually be able to grab you then. They can just try and hurt you by vomiting on you.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
I mean, hell, it worked in a remake anyway. Well, I don't think you need to necessarily go around, since you can just go inside the bar and then just go out the other way.
Was just checking that locked door because for some reason I thought that's...
Oh yeah, right. You don't have to worry about that. That's apparently a clothing store that you won't be able to open up unless you manage to get the special key, which is a New Game Plus item anyway.
Oh, I think I just countered a zombie.
Yeah, that's how it works. Really wish that I was actually able to do that whole dodging thing reliably, because I saw this one speedrun video where the guy apparently figured it out, and he just simply ran through the entire game just constantly shoving zombies out of the way.
Oh man, replacing a crank with grenade rounds, I like that.
Actually, come to think of it, I'm honestly not sure anymore if this game even had a valve handle.
As we know that game, it probably has. Don't bird me. So I guess I should go in the direction of the tram or whatever it was. Oh boy.
Well, there is still that indoor parking area where you need to grab the power cable from.
That one I have.
Oh, right. Well, then I guess at this point the only thing left is to grab the compass, go back to that statue, put it on there, grab the battery, and then stick that in order to operate the elevator.
Or fight that guy again. Did he just actually use the rocket launcher?
Well, he does tend to use it if you're far away enough. Okay, looks like he gave up.
No, there's still the music. Now he gave up. Right, I'm not sure what the point of that was.
I get the feeling it was really only there in order to remind you that, hey, we have these QuickTime events. We worked really hard on this. Also, if I remember correctly, if you were to just simply fall down there isn't really that much difference. You just simply end up somewhere underground. You just go through a little hallway, and then you just climb up a ladder and just get back out in the one area with the broken down buses and everything.
So just a little time waster.
Pretty much.
Oh. So I should probably take the book and the compass with me.
Just a compass. You don't need the book anymore.
Oh. So where was that used actually? Forgot where I got it.
Well, do you remember that gate where you had to use the 2 jewels on?
Nope.
Well, do you remember where the restaurant was?
That was probably over here where Nemesis haunted me once.
Uh-huh. And then when you got out of there, you found yourself in a very, very tight alley. You just simply go... I think it's supposed to be west?
Let's head to the restaurant first. I think everything else will fall in peace. Do I have healing items? Absolutely not.
Well, you did ram past a couple of herbs while you were trying to get away from Nemesis.
Not really keen on returning to him.
Well, I think he left at this point. Well, it's in that area where if you went up the stairs, you'd find the elevator where you need to use the battery on, so you should probably keep that in mind.
I should probably. Right, this is where I got the book stuff from.
Also, if I remember correctly, I think there was something odd about what was written on those plaques on those things. I guess it's possible that since, was essentially developed in Japan and everything, that they didn't really realize what it said and everything, and they just grabbed some random English text or whatever to put on there. But I think the problem is that they ended up using text or whatever that apparently originally was supposed to be used for, instructions on proper lavatory use.
Oh god, I overdid it.
Well, that shouldn't be a problem. You just simply combine it with another type of grenade, and it'll just simply put all of the grenade rounds back into a single canister thing, whatever they call them.
Probably. So, probably to the west here.
You do realize that's the statue you're supposed to use it on, right?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Well, it's that one, so you should probably go back.
Well, thanks for that. I would have run around for quite a while. Oh, hey, doggies again.
I don't know, come to think of it, I guess the weirdest thing about those dogs is that they burst out of what looked to be some kind of clothing store. Not really sure why they were there in the first place.
Dog closes. They just wanted to be cute for once.
Well, I think there were a couple of cute dresses in there, so maybe? Or I guess, maybe it could be explained away as, that maybe the owner of that clothing store had, 3 dogs as pets. But then it becomes a little bit harder to figure out just why they were there in the first place, because there's also a random chance that instead of dogs flying out of there, it's just a pack of crows.
Why would crows be there? Alright, time for a new area.
Well,
Hello,
I'm pretty sure they did lurk, considering that at the start she does mention that it was September 28th. So, I guess if anything, that I guess it's a little bit more odd that she would wear that. I guess it was a fairly warm fall that year.
just like this here.
I guess, but we're pretty much dealing with it like 20 years later, so I'd assume it's probably gotten a lot hotter since then.
Oh, come on, I just didn't see it explode yet. Oh.
No, if I remember correctly, in this area there's a The puzzle here is kind of similar to the one that they had in Resident Evil 2, where you had to get it to a specific spot and everything when you tried to get the power on in the underground garage and the police station. I think just to be safe, maybe it might be best that you screw around with that thing at least enough times to open up both shutter doors and everything before you do anything else, because I think the problem is after a certain event you won't be able to screw around with the transformer anymore and you'd be locked out to get some extra ammo and weapons.
So just do this until I get both open.
Uh-huh. And you've already opened one of them, so hopefully this won't take too long.
I'm not sure to which number I should set it.
Yeah, I think the other shutter, it had to be at a lower voltage. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that would have been an option, but I was kind of worried that if he did, it would trigger the one cutscene that would lock him out of opening the other shutter.
This was probably a stupid idea.
Well, even so, you can't really argue with the results there.
True. Oh boy. Seems like the emergency exit would have been a trap anyway.
Yeah, usually if you were to go with the emergency exit instead, you'd pretty much leave the area, which is a bit of a problem if you want to get the Magnum. And there's also the problem that if you did that, there's a decent chance that it would trigger a cutscene where you're surrounded by zombies and then Nemesis just ends up blowing them all up trying to hit you with his rocket launcher. Which, sure, is somewhat amusing, but then you'd pretty much have him on your ass again for several rooms.
Because we love him so much.
Yeah, I think at this point you should have everything, so just make sure you have the mixed oil in your inventory and should be able to get the tram running now.
Yep, that's the plan. Power cable, fuse, oil. And probably save first. And this is the closest safe room.
Yeah, come to think of it, maybe it might be a good idea to take the Magnum along, because I as well spoiled this, but on your way back to the tram, Nemesis is gonna start harassing you again. And he decides to be a real dick about it this time, because he decides to do it in the really narrow corridors, where it's gonna be really hard to dodge his attacks.
So, for once, actually fight the guy. Hello, Laruzia.
I think it might have gotten your Romero's mixed up there, Lurk. Last time I checked, John Romero was one of the creators of Doom. You might have been thinking of George Romero.
Is this the point where I should fight him?
Well, you could, but you could also just simply shoot him enough times so that he falls over so that you'd be able to run past him.
Oh, great. Alright, enjoy me slow boating this to the end.
Oh, right. This is going to be a problem.
Oh boy.
Yeah. The problem is, I think this primarily involves having to pull certain levers on each end of the room, and you kind of have to do it real fast so that he doesn't
Do
come out
this.
of the walls and kill you. So I'm thinking maybe it might be best to actually go back to that one area where you got the fire hose from, pick up those herbs, because you're pretty much leaving that part of the game anyway, so
And I need healing stuff.
definitely.
So, would I like more, Senior X or Nemesis? Difficult decision. I have to say Senior X was more scary. Nemesis is just everywhere, and you kinda expect him. Oh, these herbs you mean?
Normally, yes.
How did I keep running past them?
Well, the last time you were here, it was somewhat understandable since Nemesis was chasing you at the time.
Before that, my inventory was probably full. Should I save again in case I screw up?
Well, probably. I mean, I'm assuming you're not really playing this in order to get like a frickin' S rank or something, so I figure you might as well go ahead.
Nope. Absolutely not. I think we are long past S rank anyway. So, dumb story question. Why is Jill in Raccoon City again?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was mainly because Chris and some of the other STARS members were planning on going to Paris and everything because apparently Umbrella has a French branch there. And they pretty much decided that at least someone should stay behind in Raccoon City to pretty much keep an eye on things there.
They had Brad for that.
Well, yeah, but we all saw how well that went.
Stars.
And besides, if anything, pretty much leaving Brad in Raccoon City, that was probably just the rest of the STARS members just getting back at him for pretty much abandoning them in the first Resident Evil.
So, just hit random switches, I guess.
Pretty much. And try not to get eaten.
Oh, it's still there.
Yeah, it's essentially the way they want you to do it is to essentially bait it out on the other end and then try to run as fast as you can to the other end in order to pull the switch.
Why
But I guess
is
the
the
way you
emergency
did
ladder
it-
powered umbrella?
Well, it was mentioned before that, Umbrella essentially had the entire city in its pockets, so I guess it would also mean that they also probably had their really shitty architects pretty much work on various parts of the city. Which probably would explain why they decided that, they should add a mechanism on this one statue of the city mayor where if you put a compass on it, it'll suddenly turn 180 degrees, revealing a battery.
Carlos, I'm sorry about Murphy, but there was nothing you could have done.
Yeah, you're right, Jill. I'll operate the cable car.
Nikolai won't be joining us. Come on, let's go.
It's looking good. Mikhail!
Okay, just so you know, you don't have to stay there. You can just immediately leave.
Mikhail!
Jill, get out of the cable car now!
Mikhail, wait! Don't!
Get out of here! Hurry! Just a little closer.
No! The brakes are out!
This must be it. Ah!
Also, just so you know, if you took the other option, essentially what happens is Jill just says, fuck this, jumps out the window and leaves Carlos to die. Well, I think with the option you decided to go was there. It's a slightly more amusing cutscene the next time you meet Carlos.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to him.
Also, it might be a bit of an issue with all the crows there, but I think there are a couple of herbs you can pick up in that area.
Found them.
And yeah, maybe also pick up some of the blue ones because I think it's at this point where they start introducing the spiders. Because apparently, unlike Resident Evil 2, these particular spiders just like to hang out at a clock tower.
Is this more sensible than the sewers?
I suppose, because those spiders usually hate water. Well, I think at this point you're not really going to be needing the Magnum for a while, so... Like, you're probably going to need the shotgun, though. And, I don't know, maybe actually make some ammo with all that gunpowder you've been collecting?
Probably a wise idea.
I suppose at this point it would probably be best to focus on making shotgun shells and grenades, since you seem to have plenty of handgun ammo at this point.
Yeah, handgun I don't need anymore. least for now. So, shotgun you said?
Well, it's just that, you know, the zombies that you're going to be coming across at this point usually will try to attack you in groups, so the
I
shotgun
see.
would be a better choice for that sort of thing.
Yeah, they've gotten faster.
Carlos, I don't believe it. You're alive.
I'm not sure how we're gonna get out of this town.
What are you talking about? We made it!
You don't get it. They have no intention of letting us make it back alive. Do you really think we can trust their great evacuation plan? Huh, it's just a piece of paper.
But we don't have any other choice than to trust them right now.
No, if we're gonna die, then we should get to choose when it happens.
So that's it then, huh? You're giving up?
No. I can't handle it.
Yeah, Lurk is right. It's totally... Oh, you're alive. I'm surprised.
I don't know, sometimes with Carlos' statement of, you know, the evacuation plan just being a piece of paper, sometimes I like to pretty much take that literally. That essentially they get to the evacuation spot and it literally is just a piece of paper with a door drawn on it.
A paper plane. Board it and get out. So, if I get that correctly, they have parked the escape helicopter inside the city.
Well, I'd assume they're probably using the same method Brad did, that there's just a helicopter just flying around the city. And just hoping to God they don't run out of fuel before someone actually uses the signal.
I don't trust these tiny spiders.
Well, you don't have to shoot them, you can just step on them.
So I really hope the mine thrower in this game is as funny as in Resident Evil 4.
Honestly, I never really get around to using it all that much, so I'm not really sure. I think the Resident Evil 3 mine thrower is a little bit different. But I think it was whenever you shoot one of those things, it's essentially, it just ends up on the floor and it'll just seek out the nearest enemy. But I can also be horribly wrong, so I'm just gonna mention that so that when everything goes horribly wrong and everything, that you can't blame me too much. Also, if you took the other option during the QTE, this is where you'd start out instead of outside. And then you just simply meet Carlos in the library, and there they just simply, acknowledge that the other survived, and then they pretty much just mention, let's split up and explore the place. Which is nowhere near as funny as, seeing Jill just bitch slap Carlos and everything.
I guess we are kinda in the mansion part of the game.
Kind of. I guess this is about the closest to a mansion layout this game has.
Also, goddammit, the spiders respawn. Why is it always red herbs?
Because they're useful?
I would prefer green ones.
Well, yeah, but green herbs on their own don't heal all that much.
True.
Well, nothing else. There is a valve handle over there, but thankfully it's just part of the pre-rendered background.
Thank God for that.
Also, I'm not sure if huge piece of machinery that handles a clock tower and everything, if you could just simply refer to that as, you know, a gadget.
Oh, God.
Well, if it helps, I decided to write down ahead of time what the proper order is. So, do you want to know, or do you just want to bash your head against this for the next half hour?
Oh. Probably have it exactly doing the reverse.
Well, yeah, pretty much, since the reason that one music box was there was specifically to tell you that that was the order you weren't supposed to do it. I mean, I kind of assumed that it was kind of obvious, considering that if you actually looked at it, it even said dud dud.
Yeah.
Also, just so you know, the next puzzle you're going to have to deal with is going to be way more annoying.
Oh, great.
You're also probably going to want to make sure that you have a decent amount of space in your inventory before you go, since I think you need to use like 3 different items in order to be able to solve the puzzle.
So, what do I get rid of?
Well, I guess you could get rid of one of the healing items. And I don't think you actually need to take that gear along with you, since you can just combine it with the other item that you find later on.
So I don't need to leave behind my ammunition. Not that I will ever get rid of all that ammunition.
Well, considering how trigger happy you are, it probably won't take too long.
This Nemesis died. Bitch slapped down the balcony.
Also, incidentally, if you use the other option, she would just pull the cord straight out of one of those searchlights and just electrocute Nemesis. Which would have been one of those methods you'd be able to, you know, be able to grab one of the items that he drops. Though I think at this point it probably wouldn't have helped all that much because I think you need to do it at least twice in order to actually be able to use the item. Because, yeah, I guess I might as well mention it now. I think the first couple of times you take down Nemesis, he actually drops weapon parts. I think the first two was something like an enhanced handgun, and the other one was a sawn-off shotgun. Which are pretty handy and everything, but considering the kind of bullshit you have to go through in order to get them, some people would probably figure it's not really worth the effort. Considering that, more often than not, you'd probably end up wasting a lot of health items and ammo in order to actually get those things in the first place.
Well, but a pistol would be worth it. But I'm fine with the shotgun.
Also, I think you were going in the right direction, it's just that you might have forgotten to combine those keys.
Ow. I wouldn't have thought of combining those two.
I'm also not really sure how that would even work. Because wouldn't the actual shape on the end of the keys still be more or less the same?
Did I counter the spider a few times by accident?
Probably. I think you might have actually dodged more times in that one room than I did during my entire playthrough. honestly, these days, even though I know what empty rounds is supposed to stand for, considering the kind of stuff Capcom's been up to lately, sometimes I just end up reading that as microtransaction rounds. I think if I remember correctly, you just simply have to make sure that the clock in the middle stops at 12 o'clock.
I'm hating this one.
Yeah, and the problem is this is another one of those puzzles that's sort of randomized during every playthrough, so there are also times where one solution that worked in one playthrough, there's no guarantee that it's actually going to work again in the next.
Oh, great. Well, I guess I got lucky.
Seems like it, but you still haven't come across, the worst puzzle in the entire game.
I heard stories about it. I don't know the details or the solution. But I know that I should be scared of the water treatment.
Also, after you've put the gears in there, it would probably be best to grab a bunch of ammo and save.
Why did I expect a boss fight?
Well, considering that you're just about to solve a puzzle and everything, that was your main objective when you got to this area, it's sort of to be expected that you'd have to fight a boss afterwards. I think at the very least this would be a good time to grab the Magnum.
I guess we're totally fighting that helicopter.
Yeah, I suppose. Come to think of it, I guess this might have been the game where they got the idea for that one helicopter boss in Devil May Cry 2 from.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm just joshing you.
You're saved. Down here! It's finally over. Huh? No!
Stars. Stars.
Jill! Ah!
Yeah, that's the other problem, that since you're stuck in virus status after that cutscene, it's a lot more difficult to actually be able to figure out just how low on health you are exactly.
I thought I had half health. Yeah, I wasn't exactly at super low health.
Honestly, considering Lord mentioned the idea of, that the actual evacuation idea being an actual literal paper airplane and everything, now just imagining an alternate version of that cutscene where instead of Nemesis shooting him with a rocket launcher, he's just shooting him with one of those super soakers.
Yeah, the health thing is super annoying. Also, I'm super sorry for the controller noises.
Well, it's
No!
sort of to be expected. Also, did you just load the wrong save?
Yes. Right, maybe I bring better grenades than the regular ones.
You know, I was thinking of actually trying to look up a guide, see if they might have some tips on that particular fight, but all I'm really able to find here is that the guide just simply says dodge it and blast him, repeat this until he drops permanently, which doesn't really help all that much.
True.
Maybe you could try using the mine thrower on him? I mean, it's not like the handgun and the like would really help against him. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like that it would have helped a little bit better with the whole virus status if it also had its own specific different conditions and everything. Like the fine variant would just be virus, then caution something like sort of virus, and then a danger of very virus. Okay, I guess the mine thrower does work a lot of the same way as it did in Resident Evil 4.
And it's not super helpful against him. This, on the other hand, is.
Yeah, and it does seem to do a pretty good amount of damage on him.
At least it seems to stun him.
Carlos!
Jill! Jill. Hey, don't die on me. Jill! Jill!
October 1st, night. I woke up to the sound of falling rain. I can't believe I'm still alive. Carlos?
It looks like our roles have been reversed from when we originally met, huh? Don't worry, Jill. This chapel is safe.
I've been infected by the virus, haven't I?
Hey! Take it easy.
I'm okay. Don't feel any pain. But that's what bothers me. If I can't feel anything, then what does that mean?
Don't give up, Jill. I'll take care of you. Whatever you do, don't let that virus beat you.
Oh, great.
If I turn into a zombie, don't hesitate. I want your word that
So-
you'll kill me.
You remember that large spare bell, right?
Yep.
Well, that's where you have to go.
Well, this isn't too far away, so...
And if possible, maybe you could try and dodge as many of the zombies as you can, because you're probably going to need all the ammunition you can get. Because you're going to have to deal with a much more annoying enemy than zombies.
I figured as much, and I don't have my 180 pistol rounds anymore. So... Yeah, sorry for that. Seems like an application did not close properly. I hate it when you close an application and it just disappears to the tray. why are these things back?
Because Shinji Mikami hates you.
Me personally, I feel.
Also, incidentally, the hunters still have their one-hit kill where they chop your head off. And at least in my experience, even when I actually, successfully managed to pull off the dodge and everything, they still kill you anyway.
If I learn to counter them, do I rip off their head?
No, I don't think they had an animation for that, so no. So sometimes if you're lucky, instead of just a regular dodge, you instead do this sick-ass dodge roll. I have to wonder if they still have that one weird typo in there. Yeah, it's still there.
Oh?
I'd assumed that they were going for flesh-hungry monsters, but instead he refers to them as flesh-hunger monsters.
Oh, yeah. I had to totally read over that.
Also appears to be a slight fracture in his right arm just below the elbow. However,
So, fair warning here. This is another one of those randomized things and everything. On a certain floor, sometimes it would just be filled with a whole bunch of zombies, and then other times, if the game decides to be an asshole, they just put hunters there instead.
Great. Seems like thus far I got nothing.
Yeah, well, they can still show up after you manage to get the key item in this area.
Oh.
Don't shoot! No! Nikolai? You're still alive?
You saw what happened?
What's going on?
I'm one of the supervisors. That's all you need to know.
Wait!
Also, you consider Nikolai looked pretty good considering that, you know, earlier in the game he took a massive explosion to the face.
Yeah, he will probably have survived this as well.
Well, I'd assume so, considering that he suddenly just jumped out the window. Also, if I remember correctly, that's also one of those things I'm not sure if it has to do with a earlier choice or just depending on which floor you decide to go to first. But I think it was if you went to the third floor basement instead. That one guy instead ends up dying because he opens up a safe that has an explosive in it.
Five, 3, 1, will that be important?
I think it might be the combination for something, so probably. Also, if I remember correctly, what you're supposed to keep in mind here is that little cabinet there in the corner. Because I think this particular puzzle is supposed to be that the room next to this one is supposed to be a mirror image of the room you're in right now, and you're supposed to replicate it by moving the cabinet in the right spot.
Oh, there was then no point in killing that zombie. Good thing I don't have to carry one of the zombies over here.
Well, you're pretty much done with this floor, so guess now you can go to the third floor basement.
Good thing it wasn't hunters. Oh. Why is there always an explosive after the zombies?
Well, I think it's more there when the hunters spawn in instead. Because I think normally there's one hunter just as you open the elevator, but then the other one is further down the hall.
I wasn't aiming at the hunter, but alright game. I guess this is how medicine works.
Well, I'd assume so. Just work some valves, put in some beakers, put some weird liquidy stuff in there, and here you go. Science.
Yeah, these will totally stay in there. As usual, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing.
Well, to be fair, neither did Umbrella, so... Maybe you should try having it so that 3 and 1 are pointing down.
3 and 1, alright. Almost.
Maybe with A and B, have it so that B is pointing sideways and A pointing down.
Never mind. Right, I think I got everything from this floor.
And just so you know, that thing isn't going to explode if you start running. So you don't have to worry about that.
Too late, I already ran. Oh, this isn't the door.
So, yeah, that was something they decided to do in Resident Evil 3, make a new variant of the Hunter, which is just gigantic frogmen. I think they do make a return in Resident Evil Outbreak File 2. But the odd thing is, I think somehow the lasting legacy the frog hunters have had in the series as a whole is that they're apparently very popular amongst vor fetishists.
Let's not question that. But why are they bringing the horrible enemies back all the time? Like dogs. They are the worst. That was one very well placed bomb.
Well, he probably strapped a whole bunch of those explosives around the entire building. Though I'm assuming, considering what happened to him earlier, I'd assume Nikolai was doing all of that while he had to, from time to time, maybe get some shards of glass out of him and everything.
Also, do we really need snakes now?
Yeah, I don't really know what's up with those things either.
look who's back.
Yeah, but funnily enough, even though he's supposed to, somewhat transformed a bit and supposed to be more dangerous and imposing and everything, if anything, he's way easier to deal with now.
No more rockets to my face.
Yeah, the thing is, he doesn't do that charging punch thing, or he doesn't do that grab anymore. Instead, it's this one weird grab where he just tries to drag you along the ground. But the problem is, it's not that big of a problem since the wind-up for it is so freaking long that you can just run right past it.
So what is the grand plan here? Give Jill the vaccine and ignore Nemesis?
More or less.
Hey, are you okay?
Yes. Barely. What's going on?
No way! That monster just doesn't give up!
What? I thought we killed that thing.
No, it's been waiting for you!
He's playing with us. Carlos, do you think that it's unstoppable?
No, I don't think so. I'm sorry, Jill, but I've got to go take care of a few things. Oh, and bad news. Nikolai is still alive.
Nikolai? Are you sure?
Yes. I don't know how, but I do know that he is our enemy. Remember, don't trust him.
I forgot to use that vaccine, so...
Well, we just used it during that cutscene, so you don't really have to worry about it. I mean, you can see it right there. She's fine. Also, just so that you don't end up making the same mistake I did, make real damn sure that you take the lockpick with you.
So, time to go back out again.
Pretty much.
Oh, he disappeared. Or not. Maybe he followed Carlos for a bit before he realized, oh, wrong guy.
Okay, and now you don't need the lockpick for anything anymore, as far as I'm aware of. You're probably going to want to make sure you take those acid rounds with you, though, because I think it's at this point where they pretty much just go hog wild with throwing a bunch of hunters at you.
Oh. Why? I know, all of this was absolutely unnecessary. But I just love killing zombies.
Though it kind of seemed like the mine thrower isn't anywhere near as impressive as it was in RE4.
Yeah, this one is super lazy and boring.
Okay, looks like it lucked out.
Oh, this could have been a hunter room?
Yup. Yeah, from what I can remember, this puzzle is also kind of annoying. Have you ever played that one point-and-click game Myst before?
I don't think I ever got further than the first room.
Well, I think the puzzle you're going to have to deal with is kind of something like you'd see in Myst, if I'm not mistaken.
I wanted to look at the instruction manual, but alright.
If I remember correctly, I think you want to get the one all the way on the bottom. Well, either that or they want you to do the thing that isn't even on there. Ah, there it is. So as far as I know, the way the puzzle works is you have to get the colored gears in a particular position that was in that picture in 6 steps or less.
Oh. No. Alright, I screamed no for nothing, but... Why would you place a umbrella? Never mind. And to be honest, I didn't want to find out what that yellow fire stuff is.
I do like how some of the gravestones you can actually see that there's no surname on them, so you just have some gravestones that just say stuff like Patrick on it.
I love that the Patrick gravestone also has a name on the back.
Yeah, looking at it, it just seems to be Patrick again, only in reverse. If I remember correctly, there should be some herbs there past the zombies.
Yeah. It's red herbs though. I have a small inventory problem here.
Well, I did tell you to get rid of that lockpick, but
You did.
also it's kind of weird that according to the text, the grave is supposed to say Alfred Cones, but you can clearly see it says something more like, I don't know, Hunter M. Martin or something on it.
Also, I'm missing a key for this.
Yeah, I think the problem might have been that you decided to go in the wrong direction. That when you first got into the park, you might have had to go the other way in order to actually get the key.
Well,
This game's kind of a dick like that. So,
Also, why are there no spiders in the sewer? Is this Resident Evil 2 again?
I guess they decided to move to a bigger sewer.
My luck, we probably got hunters now.
Well, normally at least once the enemies first spawn in, they don't suddenly swap them out with another one.
Oh.
You know, usually I would chastise you for not conserving your ammo and everything, but then the one time you decide to do it, it's for the dogs that are constantly gnawing at your face.
Did I counter again? God damn it. Also, it's hilarious how weak the hunters are against acid rounds.
Well, I suppose you wouldn't really know because you played the remake instead, but in the original Resident Evil 1, Barry did mention after he gave Jill some acid rounds, he did mention that it's really powerful, especially against living things.
Now the question is, how did he test that out?
Well, in Resident Evil 2, the characters assumed that he might have been a member of the NRA, so I'd assume he got it from there. I mean, really, considering how crazy that organization is, would it really be that big of a stretch that they'd also probably have some nutcases just using grenade launchers and just shooting acid rounds everywhere?
I don't know. Isn't the NRA about responsible gun use? Officially, I wanna say, not unofficially.
Well, yeah, you'd think, but it sure as fuck doesn't look like it. Also, I think for this section, you're gonna need the lighter again. And you're also going to need the pipe.
I feared as much. That's actually bad timing for joining the stream, because I kinda wanted to end it here.
Well, I guess nothing else. Maybe we could leave it at this. Well, hopefully you're aware of this, but have you ever heard of this one TV show called the Super Mario Brothers Super Show?
I think that was a thing, yeah? Why do you
Well-
ask?
Well, there's this one bit of trivia. I'm not 100% sure if it's true, but I'm kind of hoping it is. That supposedly the guy that provided the vocal performance for Nemesis in this game, it's the same guy that voiced Luigi in that Super Mario Bros. Cartoon show.
So, Luigi is Nemesis.
Pretty much.
The eternal rage that the princess always kisses Mario made him that way. I guess. And remind me next time to bring the lighter and the pipe with me. Because I'm pretty sure I will forget it.
We probably all will.
I mean, I tend to forget what happened last time anyway, so... Thanks for being around. Thanks for watching. And I still hate the internet. Good night.